Question 2, find the missing measures of the right triangle. So we're given what angle A is. We have to find angle B. And then we have to find the lengths of AB and AC. So we'll call AB over here, we'll call that one X, and we'll call this one Y, and this is angle B up here. Well, angle B should be pretty easy to figure out because we know that all three of the angles in a triangle have to add up to 180 degrees. Or these two acute angles have to add up to 90 degrees. So if we take 90 minus 27, we get 63 degrees. So this angle up here is 63 degrees. Now we have to figure out what X and Y are equal to. We need to figure out those lengths. So we can either use trig for both of them, or we can use trig for one of them and the Pythagorean theorem for the other. So let's see what happens with the first one before we decide whether we want to use Pythagorean theorem or trig. So I think that I am going to use this angle here for my trig, and I'm going to look for Y first. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because, so this is my hypotenuse, this is my opposite, and this is my adjacent. The reason that I'm going to do that is because if I use that angle, so tangent of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. So my opposite side is Y, and my adjacent side is 12. I like it when my unknown is in the numerator of the fraction, because then to me it's a little bit easier. All I'm doing is multiplying both sides by the denominator, and it tells me what Y is equal to. If I were to use angle A, then I would have to do the adjacent over the opposite, or the opposite over the adjacent. These two would switch. So this would be the opposite and this would be the adjacent. And to me, I feel like there are more steps involved. So I personally prefer it when my unknown, what I'm looking for, is in the numerator. So when I do tangent of 63, let's grab our calculator again. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both of these sides by 12. Because then I just have to do one step. I just have to do 12 times the tangent of 63. So grab our calculator. We can do 12 times the tangent of 63. And here's my answer right here. So 23.55, 23.6, somewhere in that general vicinity. So we know that this length right here, which is AC, is about, what was my answer again? 23.6. So we'll go with 23.6. Well, I don't really like using the Pythagorean theorem with decimals, so I'm actually going to use trig for the other one as well. Now, if you use the Pythagorean theorem, you'll probably get an answer that's close to the one that we're going to get for this one. So I'm just going to erase all my markings, and I'm going to start with this next one here. So I already know what Y is. Now I have to figure out what X is. Is there any way that I can get X to be in the numerator? That's my hypotenuse. So if I use 27, I would need to do sine, because that's opposite over hypotenuse, or cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. So if I use the 63 angle, I'm still going to be doing opposite over hypotenuse or adjacent over hypotenuse. So it looks to me like my denominator is going to have to be X, which is fine. So I'm going to use 27 this time, and the reason that I'm going to use 27 is because I can use a whole number for that. So this is my opposite and my hypotenuse. So the trig function that uses opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So we're going to do sine of theta, or sine of A in this case, is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So we're doing sine, and in this case we're doing sine of 27, is equal to the opposite over x. So I'm going to rearrange before I do any calculations. I'm going to multiply by x on both sides, which is just going to give me x times the sine of 27 is equal to 12. Well, I don't want, I've got to get x by itself. That's the whole goal of this. So if I'm multiplying x times the sine of 27, I need to divide by the sine of 27 on both sides. So now I get x is equal to 12 divided by sine of 27. So let's see what happens when we grab our calculator and do that calculation. So we have 12 divided by, whoops, we're going to clear that out first. 12 divided by the sine of 27, and then here's our answer right here, 26.4. 26.4. Oh, I've got these two switched around. Knew something wasn't right here. This one's 26.4. And this one was 23.6. There we go. So it didn't make sense to me because I knew AC had to be shorter than AB because the hypotenuse always has to be the longest. So AB is our hypotenuse and AC is our leg.